Having an exceptional relationship with your spouse affects every single aspect of your life and is crucial for experiencing your dream life together. I'm Rob Murgatroyd.
And I'm Kim Murgatroyd. Listen in on our honest, filter-free conversations as we navigate life and business together without killing each other.
You'll learn by osmosis how to transform the friction you feel in your relationship into a purposeful foundation that will allow you to grow together.
Welcome to the Friday Podcast.
Kimberly Prosciutto Murgatroyd.
I love a good prosciutto. I actually missed prosciutto this summer.
You did?
I did, and I didn't realize how much I missed pizza until I ate it the other night. Oh, wait a minute. Are we going to talk about health real quick? But that's a really good segue.
That's why I did it. Do you know what the number one television show today is on Netflix? The Blue Zones.
It's a new one.
It's a new one.
Not the one with Zac Efron, although I do highly recommend watching that.
This is by Dan Buettner, the creator of the Blue Zones. He's the interviewer. He travels on the plane. It's his thing. And his new book came out today, and we ordered it. Hopefully it's in mailboxes.
Okay, let me set this up real quick, if you don't mind.
Short.
Okay. That's how Sophia used to say.
Sophia used to add a T to the everything. End of everything when she was like
with an R. Anything with an R, like shore, she would say short. Or if she wanted a bar, like a snack bar, like a kid's snack bar, she'd say, "Can I have a Bart?" Cutest thing ever. All right. So we moved to Italy, and in the first year, I lost 18 pounds. Actually, we were in Italy. I was fine. I moved to California. I gained 20 pounds. I moved back to Italy. I lose 18 in the first year. Okay. I eat pizza, pasta constantly all the time. And gelato. Can't forget that. Then this summer, we go to Greece for a month. 1 month in Greece. I'm eating, first of all, bottle of wine at lunch, bottle of wine at dinner. No shame in that game. It's how it is. I ate lamb. I ate pasta. I ate whatever I felt like. Came home, exactly the same weight as I left. I didn't gain a pound. Now, why am I telling you that? Because number one, I didn't walk. Okay. I went from 20, everyone, when I say I lost weight, everyone goes, yeah, it's the walking. 15 to 20,000 steps a day is roughly 400 to 600 calories of expenditure. Okay. Good. It's a Big Mac. Not even. I went to Greece. I literally felt sedentary. We drove everywhere. We didn't walk daily. I mean, we walked through the town, but I don't know. We maybe had 5,000 steps a day. We sat our ass on a beach and drank rosé. There was no walking. Did not gain 1 pound. Went to America for 2 weeks. I had one bagel. We had Mexican food one time. I had a taco. I couldn't even eat the other 700 tacos in the pile of beans and the rice and shit that was on the plate. Whatever. I ate my weight in lobster rolls, that's for sure. Leaned on seafood. We had shrimp. We had zero Italian food. We put bosta on the Italian because I can't do it when we're in America. Gained 7.5 pounds in 12 days. It wasn't even a full 2 weeks. It was 12 days. And I walked. You have come to Italy, lose weight, eat pasta pizza. Then you have go to Greece, don't walk, drink an extra bottle of wine, stay the same. Go to America for 12 days. I ate salad. There was actually salads and vegetables involved. They don't do a lot of salads in Italy. And meats and other things. 7.5 pounds in 12 days.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And what led this conversation is I wanted to talk about being intentional about blue zoning yourself.
That's why I'm sharing this, because Greece and Italy both have a blue zone, and they lean more blue zone as far as what we're going to talk about. And they both have a blue zone. And they also both have life expectancy way higher than the US. But I shared that out of the gate because you hear about it. I went to Italy and I lost weight. Okay. I went to America and I gained weight. Like, that's insanity to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's really what they're saying, right? All those TikTokers, when they talk about coming to Italy, losing weight, they're really saying that I'm holding on to the weight in the States, right?
Exactly.
And when you think about this, I know a lot of you listening, because I know from the demographics, you fall into probably this 35 to 45-year-old age gap, right? And I definitely am not any longer. I'm 50. I'll be 57 in a couple of weeks. And I am really quite intentional about what I need to do to take care of myself as I start approaching these marginal decades as you get older. And as I think about living in a country where people live so long and coming from a country where people just don't have the highest level of health, there's not just magic DNA here. There's certain strategies. And if you've read the Blue Zone book, you're aware that there's a lot of soft targets like community and stuff like that. But there's also hard targets like what you're eating and not having pesticides and no GMOs and no preservatives and all of those things. When I was in the States, I went to see a doc to get some updated blood work, and I noticed that my cholesterol was really high and 100 points higher than it should be. And one of the guys that I follow in the US, who's now, I would say that he's becoming the new Dr. Oz for Oprah. Oprah just promoted his book to give you an idea of the level. His name is Peter Attia, A-T-I-A. You're probably already familiar with him. And he's got an amazing podcast, and he's got a great book called Outlive. And it's all on this subject, right? It's all about how do you live longer. But he's got a concept in there that is the thing that has really revolutionized my life as it relates to health and aging. His concept is pretty simple. If you are somebody that is training for a triathlon or a marathon, there's a formula. If you're somebody that's training for a bodybuilding show, there's a formula. You do these things. But what do you do after the marathon is over? What do you do after the bodybuilding is over? What do you do after the triathlon is over? What are you training for? So when you go to the gym, are you bicycling? Are you just doing strength? What is the outcome that you are after? And very few people have ever talked about that. I've never heard anybody talk about that. He decided that he was going to train for he calls it the centenarian Olympics, right? The centenarian is somebody that lives to be 100 years old. So his training is actually very basic and simple. If I was 100 years old, I want to be able to physically take a carry-on luggage and put it in the overhead compartment. If I'm 100 years old, I want to be able to walk down a flight of stairs. If I'm 100 years old, I want to be able to lift a great-great-grandchild up off the floor, right? So he's backcasted, reverse engineered. What do I need to do in order to be able to do that? And so the argument then is people look and they go, I could very easily now pick a child up off the floor. I can very easily walk down the stairs. So how would you measure that? In his book, he talks about how nothing really happens bad at 50 or 60. You're stiffer in the morning when you wake up. You may have some certain conditions. You may get any of the horrible diseases, but you're not like really debilitated. But right around 70 years old, it goes through the floor. Like almost like from 70 to 72, it just crashes. And that's when you start seeing people that need like, now that he said it, I see them walking around. They got the knee brace, they got the cane, they got the special thing on their shoulder, they got the back brace where it's just and then when you hit 75, you see them like when they try and get off a curb, they lose their balance. And it happens really, really fast. Their level of deconditioning goes down really quickly. So what you have to do in order to be able to have, let's just deal with aerobics, what you have to do to have that cardiovascular fitness, in his mind, you have to train 3 to 4 hours a week in zone 2 cardio. And zone 2 is basically where you can have a conversation with somebody. You wouldn't want to have a conversation with them, but you could have a conversation with them. Because what all these blue zones have in common is they're always walking, and they're walking up mountains like in Ikaria and Sardinia and in Okinawa, and they're doing it while they're having conversations, right? And then you're supposed to have a 30 or 40 minutes in zone 5, which is where you're really taxing yourself for 4 minutes on and then 4 minutes off. I don't want to get in the weeds on it, but I just want to give you an overall idea, right? So what does that look like? Well, once you're doing 3 to 4 hours a week in zone 2, your body adapts to it and you got to go harder. So now when I get on the treadmill or when I take a walk, it's harder and harder for me to get into zone 2. I really got to push my heart to get there. And the idea is that if you keep doing that, by the time you're 70, you have the aerobic capacity that you need. And if you talk to somebody who's 65 or 70 years old and you say, go walk up a flight of stairs, they're going to tell you they're having trouble doing it. They're losing their breath. So that's the lens in which I'm looking at this. And he also has in his heart section in the book, he also has something on cholesterol. And he says these cholesterol numbers are the wrong numbers to look at. You need to look at something called ApoB and Apo little b and little a and all these different things.
LMNOP.
LMNOP. You got to read the book to understand it. So when I get this cholesterol back, all of this is to say, okay, now my cholesterol is 100 points higher than it's supposed to be. So I go to a doc here, and I go to one doc, and a doc says, well, you should go to a cardiologist because it's really out of my area, and have the cardiologist check. So I went this morning, and they did a Doppler where they do an ultrasound of the carotid arteries in your neck, right? And they're looking to see plaquing, because when you have cholesterol, think of plaquing as like if you have a hose, like hardened mud on the inside of the hose. That's the plaquing that cholesterol can do in the arteries. And if you got, these carotid arteries that come up from your heart through your neck into your brain, and they're clogged enough, you can have a stroke. This ultrasound just scans over them to visually see whether or not they're clogged. And he looked at it this morning. He said, there's no plaquing at all. There's no clogging. You're great. I said, but my cholesterol's high. He said, walk. And I was like, okay. He said, in the grocery store, they sell these things that are what is it called?
Red rice.
Yeah, like red rice.
Like plant sterols.
Plant sterile, right? And the word sterile, I just learned this morning, comes from like cholesterol.
Right.
This is like an anti-sterile, right?
Right. We have cholesterol, like you've just said, and then the opposite, what removes the cholesterol, can be a plant sterile. So the plant sterile will remove the cholesterols.
What he's doing is he's saying, no, you don't need to go on statins. You just need to walk, and you need to. And so I'm starting to take all this information. I'm going, okay, so I've got the Blue Zone. I've got Peter Attia, who's the leading expert on longevity, pushing this 60-year. I'm closer to 60 than I am 50. Let's put it that way. Now I got to make my own fucking decisions. Now, this is the time where you go, do I want to follow the traditional thing and get on statins? Or do I want to take my health into my own hands? And so what I did was I marched myself into the blood place this morning. And I said, I want to recheck my cholesterol because I want to make sure it's right. I want to get this Doppler.
You didn't just recheck your cholesterol. You asked for the tests.
The ApoB and ApoLittle, based on what we saw with Peter Attia.
So you educated yourself. You went in, you asked for the tests that you want to see. That's not just the traditional route your regular MD would go. We added a few more because we did a little research and found out there are other possible underlying conditions that can trigger a higher cholesterol that are not the norm. And so we added a couple of other tests. You went and got the Doppler on the neck to rule out stroke. And you have the cardiologist appointment next week where you will bring all of this to, and I'm sure he'll do an EKG or something along that line.
So all of this is to say that I think it's really important. There are many, many components of this conversation we're having now. One is educate yourself. The best way I know to educate yourself is follow somebody who is actually looking at longevity.
There's a difference between symptom control and longevity. Symptom control is what Dr. Number 1 did. You have high cholesterol, get on this drug. It's a very traditional, let me put the patch on that. It's not figuring out why. And he's like, well, you got to eat different. And I told Rob, because my background is in nutrition and exercise. Like I'm an exercise physiologist by trade. I did this for a living. I said, I'm with you all the time. Outside of the increase in prosciutto and gelato, which can make an impact, but it's not every day and it's not all the time. And it's definitely seasonal. Outside of that, your diet is actually mostly fish or chicken. He doesn't, as you know from TikTok, you don't eat the red meat here because they won't cook it all the way. So it's very counterintuitive. So I'm like, it's not that. There's something else that's triggering this and we need to figure it out. And so there are so many factors in traditional medicine that people just say, my doctor knows best and I'm going to do what my doctor says, versus trying to find some alternatives or the reason behind something and fixing that instead of putting the Band-Aid on. And that's where I think queuing in the blue zones too is really important. Like the things that create longevity are not just going to the doctor once a year and getting your blood work done and getting on the right medications. The things that trigger longevity, the Blue Zones has the power of 9, right? This is what they have figured out, that people that live the longest, over 100, the most centenarians, what they do that is in common. And so the first one is move naturally. It's what the doctor said to you today, walk more, which, by the way, you walk a lot. The second thing is have a purpose. That's ikigai, right? Ikigai is the Japanese thing of purpose. I'm actually reading Ikigai for children, or for it's a teen book, Ikigai for teens, to Sophia right now, and we're learning about purpose. Downshift, that means stress, right? Stress can increase your cholesterol. Stress increases risk of heart attack. Stress increases anxiety. Stress can literally kill you. And it's not like, oh my God, I'm just buried under paperwork. All kinds of stress, how you react to stress. So the people that live in the Blue Zones, they know how to naturally deal with stress. They have the 80% rule. You'll like this, Rob. Stop eating when your stomach is 80% full.
I've heard it said, when you're slightly full, stop, and don't start until you're slightly hungry.
Right. Another one is the plants. These people eat more plants. They're not vegan, but they eat more plants than they do other things. Wait for it. Wine at 5. They have wine at 5 o'clock. They don't overdo it. By the way, there's only one group that does not have wine, and that's a Seventh-day Adventist, because they don't drink alcohol. But they have 1 to 2 glasses. And what's interesting about this concept is they have 1 to 2 glasses a day versus not drinking all week and saving it up for the weekend and then going balls to the wall.
Right. And you live trying to figure out what the fuck to do with it.
I want to throw this out there because you and I were laughing when we were in America. We used to not drink wine during the week. And then on Sunday, we would go for mimosas, and we would literally search bottomless mimosas. And we would drink so much sugar, and we couldn't do it now. But we were literally doing the opposite. The 7th of the power of 9 is to belong. They belong to some sort of, they have a faith, they have a community, they're involved, and they belong to something. They're in a group. Number 8 is loved ones first. That says that they put their family first. So you're going through life and you're putting the family on the back burner. The people that live the longest actually put their family first. And they have the right tribe, which basically means it's the people that you're around. If you're around people who live a more positive life, live a healthier life, live a higher vibration, live in more balance, let's say, then you're going to do that as well. And something else that I haven't seen, this is new. They talk about the different areas, but they talk about what they have that's different than the other areas. Like Ikaria in Greece has the lowest rate of middle-age mortality and the lowest rate of dementia in the world. The Seventh-day Adventists are the reason that the U.S. is on the map for this. So in Loma Linda, California, there's a religious community called the Seventh-day Adventist, and they are actually vegetarian. They don't drink alcohol. They don't use pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of things. But do you know how many years do you think they live longer than the average American on average?
I have no idea.
10 years longer than the average North American. So that includes Mexico, Canada. The highest concentration of Seventh-day Adventists live in Loma Linda, and they live an average of 10 years longer.
All right. So the point that I wanted to share with you guys, because I always like talking about something that I'm interested in and I'm going through, because I just feel like I can be more transparent, authentic, real about it. So this is like one of these things where now it's one thing to read the Blue Zones when you don't have an issue. It's another thing when somebody goes, dude, your cholesterol's 100 points over. You better get on statins. Statin is a serious drug. It has an effect. Is it common to put guys my age on it? Yes. Is it necessary/normal? Maybe not. I like beginning with the end in mind. It's always important for me to do that. So I would say give some thought into the idea of training, I'll put that word in quotes, for the 100-year-old Olympics. Think about that. And think about what are the things, if you want to live to 100 years old, or pick an age that you want to live to, what are the things that you would like to be able to do? and then figure out, not if you can do them now, figure out what you need to do to condition yourself from a mobility standpoint, from a cardiovascular standpoint, from an organ health standpoint. What are the things you need to do, knowing that at 70 years old, shit goes through the floor? Here's the main takeaway I got from Peter's book. When you ask somebody at 30, 40, 50, or 60 what they think they're going to be like at 70, 80, or 90, they paint a way rosier picture of what they think they're going to be like. They look at what they are now and they're like, maybe I'll be a little stiffer in the morning when I get up. They do not see themselves hunched over, debilitated with a cane, suffering from lack of energy, difficulty walking up a couple of flights of stairs. They don't paint that picture. And it is exactly what fucking happens when you hit that age if you don't do something. We're fortunate enough that we happen to live in an environment now in Italy where this sort of behavior is reinforced through the elderly that are around us. That's not the case in North America.
Yeah, because you get your wheels blown off when you're walking up to Piazzale Michelangelo by someone who's 85 carrying groceries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was walking up a hill. If you look on my TikTok, you'll see a video of it. I'm literally walking up a hill and two fucking grandmas with groceries are blowing my doors off.
And Rob's
I'm
gasping.
sucking wind. They're blowing my doors off carrying groceries. So one, watch Blue Zones on Netflix. Get his book too. I think it's great. Two, get Peter Attia's book Outlive, or listen to the audio. I like the audio. I didn't read the book. And number three is consider the idea of the 100-year-olds Olympics, looking at things through that lens. And number four, make a decision that you are going to be responsible for your fucking health. You're going to take the advice of a doctor. You're going to listen to him. But in the end, you're going to be proactive about what you need to do. And if you think you need a blood test because you read something in a book or you saw something somewhere, get the fucking blood test. Be your own doctor. Use doctor's advice, consider it, but in the end, make a decision on what's right for you. Because I got to tell you, there are many, many cultures who are making decisions based on what's around them and not following the protocol of, I'm just going to take this drug because the doctor said it. Really think about it. Look, let me give the disclaimer, like, listen to your doctor. But I'm just saying, take that advice and make your own damn decision.
Can I tell you how proud I am of you? I'm really proud of you because in your 40s, you were focused on abs. You were focused on what you looked like at the beach. You would put yourself through fitness competitions, which is basically 75 hard, except it was 90 hard. And you would put yourself through that twice a year so you could look good on a beach. That was your 40s. In your 50s, you have shifted to longevity. You have shifted to doing things to make sure that you're here for your family. You have shifted from your 40s, business focused, success focused, money focused, to in your 50s, family focused, life focused. You are no longer the guy walking around as a chicken with their head cut off. You're an engaged husband, you're an engaged father, and you're engaged in your health. And so for me, you are the epitome of what the Blue Zone stands for. And I hope to God you live to 130.
You make me cry. That was sweet. That was sweet.
He's literally crying.
It was sweet. It was very sweet.
Aww.
All right. Now
Do you want me to get those tears?
No, you don't need to get those tears. Thank you. That was very, very sweet.
Well, I love you.
I love you too. That's it, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Hey, everybody, if you've ever thought about coming to hang out with Kim and I on one of our next Rob and Kim Italia events and you want to learn more, just click the Rob and Kim Italia link in the show notes and add your name and email, and we'll send you all the details as soon as they're available. We are obsessed with this country and how it affects you, and we want to share that magic of culture, food, wine, art, architecture, and some secret magic moments that we've cooked up with you. So be sure to add your name because these events sell out quickly.